Hello folks. I want to talk about today's experience. This really happened. This 3 minutes of 2 is the actual time. That clock's a little bit off. The afternoon. I'm in Iowa. This is my document. It's a real document. Things worked out okay. Let me give you the background. Just before Thanksgiving, I got a first letter. A second letter just before Christmas. I had to call last night here in Iowa to see if the case was still on. It was still on. This morning, around 8 a.m., I started out. I thought they would postpone the situation. It was about 1 below actual temperature. There was a 15-mile-an-hour wind. This road I went off 3 years ago, went into the ditch. That was pretty bad. I haven't talked about it. I mean, the car and me ended up okay. The car lost its heat shield, basically. I had to remove it later. That's what happened to that car. So 3 years ago that happened. Going down the road, there was a little bit of snow and ice. The main road, this is almost a 20-mile trip one way. The main road was okay. I hadn't had anything to do with jury in Iowa before. I've been 17 years in Iowa in the Midwest, but there was no parking around the courthouse. I was almost late. I think I got there right at the minute I was supposed to. These courthouses are pretty much the same around this part of the country. I won't get into it, but you go to the first floor. I did find a parking spot in a sparsely populated town. I had to park a block south, which is unusual. But the first floor, I registered or told them I was there. They sent me up to the second floor. I told the woman that the bailiff, they don't call her a bailiff anymore. She's an assistant or something. I went into the courtroom. There were probably 60 of us in there for the jury. There was no one for the case itself in that main room, the courtroom with the benches. Courtrooms look pretty much the same. There are bigger ones and smaller ones. For this tiny county, population-wise, it was a good-sized courtroom. We had to watch everybody in there, and I'd say up to 60 jurors. Now, I was 45th. I can show you this number, 45, which was kind of nice, because they did seat about 25 people later up the front. You didn't talk to anyone. You didn't get dismissed. You just stayed there. And you saw a little film clip. We had to wait and wait. What happened was they reached a settlement. There was a criminal case. This case is over. I can talk about it legally. I was admonished not to talk about things before they're done. And my father evidently couldn't hear this because he refused to talk about a case after it was over. So he just couldn't hear it all. And he said, "Pete, you mumble. No, Dad, you're deaf." And his life could have been in actual danger because he couldn't hear the last few years of his life. That's another story. But of course it was my fault because I would shout at him and deaf Uncle Tony and other deaf relatives, and they still could barely hear me. But anyway, I was worried going down there. The schools around here were either closed or delayed. But I got down there, went up to the second floor, and basically sat for 2 hours and talked to some other nice folk who were in there. I did tweet about it. So things went okay. The car was a little funny, sluggish, going home on the highway, still being not much above zero. It's a fairly new car, but it was a little sluggish. I think I had to drive farther than most people. Most people were within a few miles, I think. I didn't talk to more than a half a dozen of the jurors, but we were sent home because the case had been settled before. Now, what the deal was, it's kind of a club. You have people out there, defendants. You have to settle, or we're gonna put you on the. I just lost my picture. That's the stupid screensaver. We're gonna put you under the gun. There's folks out there. So I mean, it did serve a real purpose. I think I'm supposed to be paid for mileage and the time. The situation here in the Midwest is different. I'm under the gun for 3 months, actually. I can get a letter telling me I have to appear within a few days. Texas is 6 months like that. The East Coast, I'm talking Massachusetts, New Jersey, I have some knowledge of. You go, that's it. You're on or off. And then you're done for a year or 2 or 3. It varies on the East Coast. I won't say one is bad and they're just different. And of course things are a little more informal out here. There are not many people. I mean, a lot of the people in the courtroom, the jurors knew each other. I think there was a couple people related to the case, relatives, and they were sent in separate, and there were private discussions. I saw maybe 2 lawyers and the 1 judge who seemed to deport themselves appropriately. The clerk of court, a female, also the bailiff, a female from my county, seemed to deport themselves appropriately. I won't get into some of the discussions I had. I did have discussions that made the time go by a little better. I'm still under the gun, so to speak, for another 3 months, which I will show you that. You can see the term of service. There's some things in the news now about the Massachusetts jury. Now, I'm not going to say I agree with everything I saw on the film clip, and I did not breathe a word about fully informed jury. I don't agree with much I hear anymore from government sources. Again, some of these Iowa people, they're hard-working farmers, down-home Iowa folks. There's still some of the better people in the country that live out here in the heartland, but there are big problems right now, and I think I gave the story of this, and I probably will put it up today or fairly soon. I think I want to take a snapshot of this. If it doesn't show up, and it gives me a thumbnail choice. It hasn't been giving me the right choices lately. I think I'll take a snapshot of that so I can put it up later. Be warm out there, folks.